Look at that. It's such a smaller battery. Let's get the old giant one out. We're gonna be swapping the battery in the car today. We have the giant OEM Subaru battery in there, and as I kind of told you guys before, the battery keeps hitting the charge piping, and I'm not okay with this because it's really, really annoying to try to get this thing to go in whenever I need it to. So we're gonna be running the Odyssey PC680 battery, I think it was what it is, with the Grimmspeed mount, just to help alleviate some room in the car a little bit. Now I am a little worried that the battery is not going to be able to keep up with the air suspension on the car. So if the battery just isn't working out on the STI, we'll just put it in the BRZ. So I'm not quite sure how this Grimmspeed mount is going to mount in here, but I want to show you guys the issue that I'm running into. It's not even an issue, it's just an annoyance with the charge piping. So let me show you guys kind of the routing of the charge piping and how it keeps like hitting the battery. And then we'll get this new one put in. We'll do like a weight comparison. People say there's a weight savings with these batteries. I don't know about that because that tiny battery, that thing is heavy. This is the issue. Like, it's not a huge issue. The charge piping still has room to move, but I don't like this battery. It's huge, it's massive. There's just not a lot of room right there. So we're gonna pull it out. If you don't know how to take your battery out, there's generally like a battery like keep down tie thing that runs across here. I don't have it in since we had like the engine torn apart multiple times. So I'm just gonna be disconnecting the ground and the power from the battery, pulling it out. And then we'll start getting the tray mounted up in here. It's a battery. It's incredibly easy to take out. Just make sure that you don't shock yourself or like have a tool touch both of those at the same time. I've done it on accident before. It's not fun, makes sparks. You don't want sparks, trust me. So let me get this thing pulled out real quick. We'll bring it over to the bench. I wanna compare this thing against that Odyssey over there, and we'll see what we like. We'll see what's going on with them, and we'll get that new one put in the car. All right, so we've got some batteries here. So this is the OEM battery. This is the new mini battery. So as you can see, I mean, there's obviously a size difference here, but I am curious what they weigh because both of these are heavy. And I can be honest, I think the smaller one is actually heavier. So, got a scale right there. Let's see how much these weigh. How do I activate you? Activate? Do I just need to put something on it? I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if the scale works. Let me try stepping on it. Do we need batteries? Oh no! I think the battery died on it. Oh, I have a screwdriver though, we can find out, hang on. What kind of mini screwdriver crap is that? I just broke it. I don't think I was gonna keep this anyways. And I broke it, so there goes that. But I promise you that this like mini battery is like just as heavy, if not like the same weight as this full size one. Like they're both heavy. Maybe like a 1 or 2 pound difference on this one. No idea, but anyways, let's go get the bracket for this Odyssey P680 mounted up in the car. So that way we can get this little guy in there. So I was swinging through Grimmspeed's website trying to figure out how to get this thing set up a little bit. And they had this like weird countersunk screws that go in here. And these like weird T-bolt things. And they want you to put it so the nipple is facing like down, like towards the table. And then you have these locking nuts you got to throw on here. So these are gonna sit in 2 of the holes where the battery used to sit. I'll kind of show you guys, I'll walk you through where those need to sit in there. So that way we can start getting this battery tray mounted. But these 2 holes on this bottom like flange side are gonna mount up like near my ethanol sensor and where the fuse box kind of hangs out. So I'm just gonna time lapse throwing this thing in real quick. It's just tightening down these 2 bolts and pulling out one of the old bolts to get this guy put in. So once we get this in, I'll actually start getting the battery hooked up because there's some stuff that we have to do to the cabling that's gonna make it all like fit together. So let me throw this in real quick and then we'll keep going on the install and getting this smaller Odyssey battery in the car. So,
oh, I have one.
Friend Mindy showed up. She's also starting a YouTube here soon, so she's figuring out her stuff, but she has a really dope hatch. I'll kind of link her like somewhere in this area, and like here's like a screenshot of her car over there or something. It's pretty dope. But anyways, I'm gonna keep going on this battery thing, getting this thrown in. She's just picking up the old HKS blow-off valve that we were gonna use, that we're not gonna use anymore since we're sticking with the hybrid one. So she's gonna pull this. I don't feel like pulling the C-clip off this stuff, so I'm just gonna pick up the charge piping later. She's taking the blow-off valve, putting it on her hatch. So good for her. She's getting tuned on Saturday. Hopefully everything goes well. So there's 2 bolts for the battery tray. One of them's gonna sit right down in here. The other one's gonna sit down in here. They're gonna rotate on those T-bolts. You're gonna tighten them down. They're gonna like grab onto these. And then the last bolt's gonna go up here onto, I believe it's the ground. Not entirely sure. Once I get the tray mounted in, I'll show you guys kind of where it mounts exactly, but I'm pretty sure it lines up with that guy there. So let me get this camera set up real quick. We'll get the battery tray bolted down in here, and then I'll show you, because we're gonna have to do some stuff with this terminal to be able to get it to fit on the Odyssey battery. So I got the battery tray bolted down. As you can see, these were stupid. So you have to wedge a flathead screwdriver into these slots and then tighten down these Allen keys. And then the other one goes to the right of where the fuse box bolt is. My ethanol sensor is right there. I'm a little concerned about this guy bolting up onto the battery with the ethanol sensor being right there, just because it's super close to that fuel line, but we should be good. So the next thing we gotta do is put the battery in here, bolt it down. They give you a couple Allen keys to bolt that down. I'll show you what those are, but you want the positive terminal on the right, the negative terminal on the left. So we're gonna get that bolted down, but the hardware that you're gonna use, so I mean, they give you this like fancy little focus. They give you like this fancy little Grimmspeed battery cover tray. It's gonna be these longer Allen bolts. You're gonna throw a washer on there. Use this hardware. It's the same size as you use to tighten down the actual bolts on the battery tray. I think it's a 3mm Allen. Super simple to do, but let's get the battery in there. Let's get this tightened down and get the battery on there, and then I'll show you guys how you have to modify your OEM wiring harness, because in order to get this guy to fit here, we're gonna have to do some like flip job stuff going on with this guy. I'll show you when we get there. Don't mind my Airlift fuses right now. They're just kind of hanging out, but let's get the battery put in here. Like I said, positive terminal on the right, negative on the left. We're gonna put the battery mounting thing on the top of it, and we'll get the battery in there. I'll show you how much like room it saves, because it saves a ton of room. I have the battery actually mounted in the car now. It saves so much room, it's ridiculous. So there's actually a lot of room for the charge piping now. Now with this terminal on the positive side, we need to disassemble this, pull this guy off, and then on this actual ring terminal, we're gonna have to throw it on the bench grinder to trim it down a little bit to be able to flip it, because we need to flip this thing 180 degrees to be able to get it to fit on the terminal and clear everything else. So let me pull this guy off real quick. We'll hop over to the bench grinder. We're gonna grind down that terminal just a little bit to round it off so we can do a flip job on this guy. And then we'll keep going. So after I disassemble it, I'll kind of show you guys the issue that I'm running into. Grimmspeed says this on their instructions. Their instructions aren't the best, but we're making do with what we got. This was a little different than Grimmspeed had on their website, because they were like, you need to pull off this terminal, shave it down, all this other stuff. Bro, I just rotated it 90 degrees and it fit. So just pull off the 12mm bolt on the back side of that, and I promise you, it goes right on. Just rotate it 90 degrees. On the negative side, it just fits. Just fits. So all I did was clean up the wiring a little bit. I tucked the wiring in here. I threw one zip tie on there just to keep my Airlift wiring from like flying around everywhere. Taped down these with some little bit of electrical tape. If you are running an ethanol sensor, I would make sure that you rotate that battery terminal enough so that way it is not hitting the fuel line, because that would not be a fun time. Wear through a fuel line real quick. Oh, I tell you. You have ethanol going absolutely everywhere next to a battery. So one thing that I do want to do, I want to make sure that the car will start. I already like tested power on it. Like, look at that, we got power. So the car has power. I want to let it run for a little bit to charge the battery, because I don't know how long this battery has actually been sitting around, but it's like, it's mounted in there. Look at how much room we have now. There's so much room for activity. So let me get this thing started. Let me let it run for a little while. I also, actually, hang on, let me do a flip job here. Like I said, just got the battery in the car. I'm very curious if the battery still has like a solid charge on it. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I am a little concerned with the battery being able to support the Airlift, because it does draw a lot of power. If the Airlift doesn't see 12 volts, the Airlift kind of just poops out. Don't want the Airlift to poop out, especially like if I need the Airlift, I don't want it to poop out. So I do want to put the battery, oh, hang on, let me like, woo, there we go. Let me start the car. Let me let it run for a little bit. Side note, like I was saying, I did get the revised base map from the tuner today, so that way tomorrow we're gonna put the base map or V2 base map on the car. The only difference on this one is that the fuel pressure sensor knows where it's pulling power from, so that way we can actually set fuel pressure. So since I know the car actually runs all right as is right now, I'll actually walk you guys through how to set fuel pressure with a manual fuel pressure regulator, because I know some of you guys out there just don't know how to, and it can be a little confusing if you don't know what you're doing. So let me hop in the car, let me start it real quick, let me let it run for like 5-10 minutes, make sure that the battery has a solid charge, and then we should pretty much be good to go from that point. Let's make sure that the car works properly. So I do want to pull battery voltage up on this guy, so let me just, oh, the ECU is gonna have to relearn everything. All right, let's start her up. Start it. Let me pull up battery voltage. Battery voltage looking good, right at about 14. I don't know why my AFR isn't not moving though. That's a little frightening. Oh, there it goes. Just had to let the thing do it. All right, so I'm gonna let this run for a little bit. I'm gonna watch battery voltage just to make sure that everything hangs out about where it should. So we'll cut in back like 5-10 minutes from now. But so far, I mean, everything is looking solid. Car is good. Let's let it run. So it's been a little bit. I'm curious if the, oh geez. Okay, that'll work. I'm curious if the battery is gonna be able to support the airlift. So we're just gonna go up. All's good. Compressor's gonna kick on. This is what I'm curious about. Watching the voltage as the compressor goes. So if that voltage drops below 12 volts, the airlift will go into like a warning mode. But it looks to be good. It looks like it works just fine. The Odyssey battery, or the Odyssey Extreme, the PC680 I think it is, will support the airlift so far. I mean, I'll do another review on it, or I'll review it here later on to make sure, but so far so good. Oh God, I love it! I love it! All right, anyways, let me shut the car off. We'll take another look at the battery. I'll show you guys just kind of one more picture view routing of how everything goes, and then we'll wrap this video up. Also, my little bracket for my oil pressure gauge kind of fell out, so I'm probably just gonna like self-tap that up into the thing so that way it fits, because that sucks. It sucks that fell off. No bueno. Okay, so like I was saying, I have negative on the left, positive on the right. I have the wires fed across the harness for my airlift. They just go back there. It mounts up to the ground that goes back here. There's 2 bolts that hold it in here, and then those like weird 2 like flange bolts that hold it down to the actual tray. But this thing is like solid. It's not going anywhere. It saves us a lot more space in here too for this intercooler piping. So we're not gonna run into any issues where the piping's gonna end up hitting on the battery anymore. So this stock battery, I mean, it worked. It did its job. I'll keep it around just in case I need a spare battery, but I'm glad that we got it swapped out, because that just looks so much better. It's so much tinier. Oh my God, Mindy, you disappear in the sunlight.
I like it.
You actually disappear.
Because I'm white.
Wow. Wow. So the battery fits beautifully. I love it. I'm so glad that we were actually able to fit it in the car, and I'm extremely happy that it works with the airlift. That was my biggest concern. So watching that battery voltage as it was pulling power from the airlift was satisfying to make sure that everything was like good to go, because I've seen a lot of reviews about some of these other like micro batteries that really struggle with some of this airlift stuff. So making sure that it works, awesome. So if you are looking for it, it is the Odyssey Extreme Series PC680. I'll link down in the description the micro battery and that tray if you guys are looking for it, because honestly, especially if you have a front mount intercooler, like there's so many different things that your intercooler piping is gonna hit on. It's like the factory oil cap dealio, the battery itself, and some other like miscellaneous pieces around the bay. So super pumped, super hyped to get that little mini battery in there. We also have that upper coolant reservoir coming in for the car. We have, oh, I got this giant black dong today. Look at the size. This dong is massive. This thing is huge. So this is actually the competition series hose for the air oil separator that we're gonna be putting in the car. Don't know when I'm gonna be putting this in quite yet, but this is going to go in to replace the Street Series that we have, just because, like I said, I don't want any of that oil going back into the intake system anymore. Even with the Street Series, I saw a little bit of buildup in there. Now that can be attributed to like so many other things, the engine itself, the oil that I'm using. So it's not the actual air oil separator. It is doing its job. It's just that there's some other factors in the engine that is playing into where all of this oil is coming from. So this Competition Series dong, we're gonna be putting that in the car as well here soon. And like I said, tomorrow we're gonna be setting fuel pressure on the car. We'll be setting fuel pressure on the car. We'll be getting the V2 map, or the V2 base map on the car, so that way we can make sure that everything is still going good. Surgeline has been incredible to work with. I highly recommend them if you're in the Pacific Northwest. They've been answering emails, phone calls, questions that I've been having for them left and right. So if you are considering getting a tune from anyone, please consider Surgeline. They're incredibly awesome. They're not paid advertisement or anything like that. They're just genuinely cool people and a really good shop to work with. But with that, if you guys like the video, you know what to do. Go ahead, hit that little thumbs up blue, or hit that little thumbs up, turn it blue. You know what I mean. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to be, let's do this corner up here tonight, today, tomorrow, whenever it is you're watching this. And with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies.